Good afternoon, my fellow aquarium scientists. Hope everybody is doing well today. Sorry I had to schedule the live stream last minute because I've been very busy this past week. The Sunday school that I teach at today was our final examination day. So been busy with that. But we're done, so that's good news. Give a couple of moments for more people to come in. How's it going, Shady? Thank you very much for stopping by. Zen Ginger, welcome. Silver Creek's Wildlife, welcome. And Nathan Hovey, thank you very much for stopping by. Hope you guys are doing good. Hope your Sunday is nice because it's wet over here in Jersey. It's been raining since yesterday. It was raining yesterday, and it's raining today. It's not like heavy rain, but it's just rainy days. So one thing that I wanted to just make an announcement of regarding the Professor FishTanks channel. So I don't know how accurate the number is, but so far this channel has about 179 subscribers, roughly, maybe give or take. So pretty close to 200, which is never thought I'd get there, but here we are. So thank you everybody who has been subscribing to the channel and supporting it. I do appreciate it. And what I plan to do is on the 200 mark, we'll do a special live stream and we'll do a giveaway for that. So because I never thought that I would get to that many subscribers at all. So it's pretty exciting. So look forward to that. Excuse me. So some updates on the tanks. The one of the tanks that I have plants in, I'm having a lot of issues with algae, not on the plants themselves, interesting enough, but just green water. Um, there's algae on the glass and in the water column as well. The water column is a little hazy as well. And so what I am currently working on is blacking out the tank. So I turned the light off for it, but the problem is that the tank above it, there's light bleeding through it. So I have to figure out a way to cover this down, make it as dark as possible, hopefully, and I'm gonna leave it that way for a couple of days. I'm also gonna do a water change as well, because it is maintenance time, and I'm hoping that will solve the issue. But yeah. So that's one of the main things that are going on. These guys are doing fine, nothing to report here, and so are they. Um, that's pretty much it. Pretty excited about the Jersey Shore Aquarium Society meeting on the 13th. So I'm gonna be a vendor at that meeting. So pretty excited. So if you're in the tri-state area, if you're in New Jersey, Pennsylvania, or New York, I mean, it might be a bit too far for the New Yorkers or the Pennsylvanians for that matter. But if you're close enough that you want to come to the meeting, you're more than welcome to do so. I don't know how many people in terms of vendors are going to be there, but I will be one of them. But I'm not gonna bring a lot of stuff there because I just don't know what the turnout's gonna be and things like that. The whole point of me being a vendor is to just get the name out there. and to just meet some of the local hobbyists because I know more people in like Pennsylvania and other places than I do in New Jersey, um, which is interesting. But that's the whole point of me joining a club near me, and just to get the word of Atlantic Aquariums out there. So pretty excited about that. Reefapalooza New York is coming up in next month in June, so I do plan on going there. It's gonna be during the weekend. It'll probably be Saturday or a Sunday, most likely Sunday because I have Sunday off. Um, yeah, most likely it'll be Sunday. Um, I usually go there alone, so I have more leeway in terms of scheduling when I want to go there. It's just that I'm kind of like talking to myself in the sense that there's better raffle prizes on Saturday than there usually are on Sunday. Um, but because I usually have we're off work on Sunday except for Sunday school, but by that point Sunday school's over for the summer. So um so I'll most likely just go on a Sunday. And if something's good in the raffles, I'll put my tickets in there. If not, then I save a couple of $60 maybe. I always bring $100 with me whenever I go to Reefapalooza, and most of that money goes to the raffle tickets. But sometimes if I see like a really nice artwork or something like that, I'll get that. No corals or livestock because don't have a tank to put them in yet. But yeah, I think what are the actual dates? Because I think it's in the 20s. So hang on. So it's 2 days. Yeah, it's 2 days, the 22nd and the 23rd of June, which I'm assuming is a Saturday and a Sunday. And it's gonna be in Secaucus, New Jersey, which is why I'm very salty at the fact that they call it Reefapalooza New York. Yeah, it borders New York. Nobody cares. It's New Jersey. It should be Reefapalooza, New Jersey. Um, yeah, I'm just joking. But what days are those? It's most likely Saturday and Sunday. Yep, Saturday, Sunday. Yep. So June 22nd to the 23rd. Um, let me share the link with you guys. So if you're interested in Reefapalooza, um, you're welcome to check them out. That probably didn't go very well. Yeah, hang on, I'm gonna delete that comment. I don't know if it deletes it in YouTube, but if any of the moderators, if you can just post a link to Reefapalooza, that would be appreciated. Because it was weird on my end. But yeah, Zen says it's nasty and gloomy here too. Not a fan. I like rain. I like the sound of rain. I like it. I like rainfall when I'm in my house and I don't have to go outside in the rain. Maybe it was fun, waltzing around in the rain when I was younger, but not anymore. So Zen says I see 179 too. Cool. Hey there, Fish Family. Thank you very much for stopping by. 3G, welcome. The great Jenna P, welcome. Jenna, are you going to be reaching out to me since because May has started? I know you guys are busy, but are you going to be reaching out to me regarding the thing? I don't want to share it yet, but it's related to Fish Family. You know what I'm talking about. Thank you, Jenna P. Appreciate it. Hey, Rebecca, how's it going? Thank you very much for stopping by. Rebecca says marking still, I think, around 50 papers. I've got tests I have to grade too. They're going to be interesting. But yeah, so pretty excited about Reefapalooza. I am hoping, um, that there'll be something nice in the there's always great stuff in the raffles. But I'm hoping there'll be something there that is useful to me to then keep so that when I do set up my tank, I'll have all the equipment ready. So um, we'll see how it goes. But yeah, if you guys are interested in Reefapalooza, if you are going to Reefapalooza, New York, let me know. So hopefully we can meet at the event and hang out. Okay, cool. Thanks, Jenna. Appreciate it. I was just waiting for it to, I'm in no rush whatsoever. I just wanted to make sure that, you know, we're still good because I didn't hear anything after that. Um, but it's all good. I appreciate it. It is Stephen P. Welcome, Stephen. Hope you're doing well. Have ChatGPT grade those papers. No, 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 no. ChatGPT is already in all our lives as it is. Hello there, Mike. Thank you very much for stopping by. Hope you're doing well. But yeah, so pretty cool. And I think, sorry, Zen, I missed one of your comments. So he said, I want to see a Reefapalooza once in my life. Well, it's coming up. Grab a ticket or hop in your car, drive over here. I don't know how far actually, no, you live on the, yeah, you live far away actually from New Jersey. So grab a plane ticket, hop on in. I mean, Reefapalooza, New York, but there's also Reefapalooza, I believe, Texas. Is there one in Texas? No, there's one in Florida. Excuse me. Yeah, so New York, California, Texas, and Orlando, Florida. So, it's not just in New York. So if you guys are in any of those areas or states, um, you can still go to Reefapalooza. Yeah. Yeah, most of those Reefapaloozas have already done. I mean, New York is June 22nd to the 23rd. California is September 7th to the 8th. And Texas and Orlando has already been done. So you're going to have to wait until next year for that. But yeah, New York and California is coming up. We have AI flags now, but also if we use anything likely caused by AI, we have to tell the lecturer. Yep. Yep. So, another update regarding without any spoilers for the macroalgae setup. There has been a change of plans on the type of livestock I wanted to keep and some of the species of macroalgae in terms of the sources because I just found out that my local fish store is carrying macroalgae. And some of the macroalgae that I want to keep for this setup, they have available. So I'm going to get some of the macroalgae from my local fish store, and then some I'm going to get from other places. Um, my goal was to get a lot of the macroalgae species from Algae Barn because their algae is relatively cleaner. Um, than other sources because I'm very particular with pests and hitchhikers and things like that. And at least one other place that I can get macroalgae from, they clearly state that we're not guaranteeing you're not going to get stuff with your macroalgae. And So I'm kind of holding off on that place, but there are other places where I'm like, I'll still get the macroalgae from there. If something comes in with it, great. I'll do my best to kind of, you know, quarantine. Well, not quarantine, but inspect the specimens before putting them into the setup just to make sure. Um, but yeah. So in terms of the actual species of macroalgae I want to keep, that hasn't changed. It's just what I wanted to keep in terms of livestock minus the cleanup crew has changed. So I was thinking of putting something in there, but it's not um what's the word I'm looking for? It's not appropriate for a 10-gallon tank. So I'm gonna have to figure something else out. Let's see here. Oh, sorry, I thought I saw more comments, but I didn't. But yeah, what's everybody else up to? Any updates? Any cool things going on with your fish keeping? Any questions, comments, concerns? Dee from Dee Dee's Finden emailed me to request a master list of plants that I can get in. So I think she's look at least looking to see if she wants to get more plants in, which is fun. So I sent her a master list, but I did bring to her attention that I'm probably not going to order anything until a while because I just can't get anything in right now. Nathan says I just set up another 20 long. Nice. Always got to have more tanks. What are you keeping in it? Also, Nathan, I don't know if it was you or somebody else who was having issues with their CO2 system. Is everything good now? I think it was you, but I might be wrong. Excuse me. Zen says, I'm still trying to figure out if I should use sand or not in my seahorse tank. That's my current dilemma. Before I decide if a 75 with a 55-gallon sump is enough for 2 to 4 ponies. To answer your first question, yes. Sand, you should definitely have a sand substrate. To answer and then you're looking to set up a 75-gallon for 2 to 4 seahorses. That's a very decent size tank and a very decent sized sump. Um, I don't think, considering the amount of bioload you're going to be putting in a 75-gallon tank, I don't think you need that big of a sump. Unless the sump is coming with the tank. In that case, be very grateful. um, but if you're still looking to buy an actual setup for your seahorses, a 55-gallon sump, although adds a lot more water volume to your overall system, I think is a little overkill, to be honest with you. That's cool. But yeah, to I you should definitely use some sand substrate, especially if you're going to be putting more things in with your seahorses in terms of like hardscape, coral, maybe macroalgae, maybe things like that. Is there another type of substrate that people might use in salt, or is it sand versus bare bottom? It is sand versus bare bottom. Um, with sand, so you have two options for sand. You have live sand, which has all the beneficial bacteria in there. It's basically sand that comes from the ocean. It is cleaned, but still alive. It's wet. Versus dry sand. that has no live bacteria or anything like that. And Bulk Reef Supply actually made a video about about the differences between the two, like in terms of how much you're getting for the price you're paying, and how much do you need, right? And so they did a really cool comparison of the two sub types of substrate. And then there are a lot of people nowadays that are also doing bare bottom. I'm not a huge fan of bare bottom saltwater tanks. I like a sand substrate. I think it looks very nice, and it does help in terms of your actual water parameters, because a lot of your sand substrate for your saltwater systems are crushed coral aragonite base, which means it buffers the water. It keeps your pH high to where it's supposed to be. Um, so yeah, so it's basically sand versus bare bottom. There's no other substrate like with fresh water. There's no other substrates really that you can use in a saltwater system. I mean, you can use like pool filter sand, but one thing that's very interesting is you don't want to use very fine sand. Um, um, the like the for example the Carib Sea special grade is a very popular sand because it's not too chunky and it's not too fine. The reason you don't want a lot of like really fine sand is because there's a lot of water circulation in a saltwater system than it would be in a freshwater system, because especially with corals, the health of the coral depends on the water flow. So not only are you getting water flow in your saltwater system through your filtration, but you're getting extra circulation pumps, wave makers in there, things like that. That's going to be pushing water around, and if you have very fine sand, it's actually going to push that sand up into the water column, and you're going to have a very dusty, um, very foggy water, which can actually be dangerous to your equipment, your pumps, impellers in your pumps, wave makers, things like that. So you want a sand that is heavy enough that it's not going to be really pushed around in the water column. So a fine grained sand isn't really good. Um, Carib Sea special grade is a very popular one because it's like a mixture in a sense. Like it's not too fine, but it's not too, you know, there's not a lot of big chunks in there. I don't know how other way to word that. Most of the seahorse people try to have a tank twice the size and have bare bottom, and I just think it's ugly. I agree with the twice the size thing. The more water volume, the better with water parameters, things like that. Nothing wrong with that. And seahorses can get pretty big depending on the species that you're getting, right? And a 75-gallon is great. It's a great size. The bare bottom, I agree with you. I don't I would only keep them in a bare bottom tank if it is a holding system, so like quarantine, hospital type system, or if you're breeding. In that if you're doing a breeding setup, in that case, bare bottom is definitely okay. Nothing wrong with that. If you're setting up a display tank where you want to display your seahorses, you want to enjoy them, like basically your pet aquarium, right? In a sense, you don't want to keep it bare bottom. You definitely want to keep some form of sand substrate in there. If you're not going to be keeping any other animals with your seahorses that like to dig around the sand to scavenge and things like that, you don't need a very thick layer of sand. You can keep the layer maybe an inch or two, should be fine. If you're going to keep something in there that likes to dig around in the sand to scurry, and certain inverts like to do that as well, and there are certain fish that like to do it as well. Then you want a thick layer of sand in there. Um, like if something likes to burrow in there, like a certain species of goby like to do that as well. Or excuse me, not goby, blenny. You definitely want a thick layer of sand. But if you're not really keeping anything like that, just a thin layer, like an inch or two, um, sand substrate is perfectly fine. Steven says so they're like discus people. There can be like coral gravel. Yeah, it's crushed coral. That's literally what a lot of the sand substrates are. They're crushed coral or aragonite, basically base sands. Um, yeah. Nathan says, right now I just have 5 diamond tetras in it. I've had issues with the bubble counter leaking. Right. I had it attached right to the solenoid, but now I'm running it inline about 2 feet above the solenoid. Okay, inline's good. Um, I like the inline, especially if you have canister filtration. An inline diffuser is really great because then it's in the water flow, and when it jets out, it's you have a better spread than having a diffuser in the tank. But obviously, not everybody is able to. Not everybody has a setup for an inline diffuser. So, but that's cool. I think they're basically considered the discus of saltwater, basically getting better as they've gotten more captive bred species, but still sensitive. Yeah. So seahorses are not beginner friendly at all, even if you're getting captive bred. They're intermediate to advanced level, really. Um, but it is getting better to in terms of because of the fact that they're now being captive bred. They're pretty easy. I'm not going to say easy, you know, as long as you know what you're doing, certain species do breed in captivity better than others do. And that does, like with any species of fish, it definitely benefits when you're getting something that's already bred in captivity or not captivity, bred in human care. Um, so they're used to the aquarium environment, they're used to getting prepared foods fed, and just makes them more hardier, I think. Um, I've used the coral gravel. I forgot the actual name for it, but it used to be the norm, at least in the UK. Nice. No, no babies. I do not want babies. Baby seahorses are cute. There's actually a species of seahorse, dwarf seahorses, which you can even keep in a 10-gallon, but they are even more difficult to keep than your larger species of seahorses. But the dwarf seahorses are very adorable and are definitely maybe on my list of species I want to keep. But yeah, if you're not breeding Zen and you just want to enjoy them, put a sand substrate in there. Get some live rock in there. Make it look nice. Discus are just dramatic. Think soap opera. Wilds are in a different way to domestics. Yeah, that's true. I've just heard that the captive bred ones are pretty much the only ones that will accept prepared food, so I'm not getting wild caught for sure. And DEF, and definitely not dwarves, only live food. Yeah. Um, like I mentioned before, I've kept wild caught seahorses when I was working in our lab. Um, and they took to prepared frozen foods very readily, which was interesting. Um, so it is doable. It just takes some time. But yeah, if you a lot of the seahorses you're gonna get that are available to you in this hobby are mostly um captive bred. So, should be fine. But yeah, for dwarves, they're very finicky. They only eat prepared foods, mainly because of the fact that their mouths are also very small. So like baby brine shrimp, copepods, amphipods, things like that. Live foods for small mouths is a nightmare. It's like I wouldn't recommend most, excuse me, gymnotiforms or mormerids, and many of those, even if it fits in the mouth, they might not touch it. Yeah, true. Very true. I don't mean proper inline, but in line. I just moved the bubble counter up the CO2 tubing and mounted the bubble counter on the wall. I think the click of the solenoid was making it leak. Oh, okay. I see now. That's very interesting. Um, Zen, there's actually a reason why they would do that. Oh shoot, what is it? Um, because it's with angelfish as well. I've heard. Whereas basically when you get discus in and you put them in your tank, basically you want to keep them in shallower water and then gradually bring the water level up because there's a buoyancy thing that goes on. I might be remembering it incorrectly, but there's a reason why, especially with water changes, even you'll have certain fish laying like discus laying on their thing. Um, Sometimes they are pouty as well. But I think there is an actual thing. I don't know, Rebecca, if you know, maybe. But oh, that's gonna bother me now. But there is something to it. I remember there is somebody I hearing it or reading it somewhere that there is something to it. Um, Rebecca says I plop and drop now and not had issues. I find dripping seems to stress them out more. I've seen people gradually raise the water levels, but not seen a difference. Yeah. Um, when it comes to sensitive fish, I always um drip acclimate. Now, the only time I would not drip acclimate is if I'm getting fish in from a far away distance and it's been a while since they've been in those bags. I want to get them in fresher water. So in that instance, I wouldn't bother with drip acclimating. I would just try to temperature acclimate them and get them in fresher water. But if I'm getting fish from my local fish store, I'll move them out of the bag into a larger container. And then I would drip acclimate through that, and I've really haven't had any issues. Um, it just depends on what you're keeping, what fish will do well, what fish won't do well. Um, but yeah, I'm not ready to keep discus yet. I want to wait until I get a better location where I can keep a larger tank, and then I will try discus. But I'm not gonna get like the smaller species. I'm like not the smaller species, the small size. I'm gonna probably, even though it's gonna be more expensive, I'm gonna get the larger ones because they just do better that way. Um, but um, but yeah. So not ready for discus yet, but maybe one day. Definitely want them one day. Sorry, that was my mom. Uh, Then says, "Oh yeah, when I put them in the tank at first, we lowered the water line to halfway for pressure. Yes, since they've been in bags for almost a week. Oh my lord! Not as many places seem to be stocking them these days. If stores do, they tend to look rough. Are you talking about discus? Because my local fish store has been keeping discus, and they've been in great quality actually. They just recently added discus to one of their display tanks, and it looks really cool. Um, but there, I do. So yeah, I don't know if how it is with other stores, but at least the local fish store around where I live, have been doing fine with discus. Hey, it's Matt. How you doing, buddy? 3G says, I treat my discus just like I treat my angels. Yeah, they're from the same place too, roughly. I'm after more reasonably priced wilds or some Asians. Nice. That's the same thing with me with discus is I'm more interested in the wild species. Um like the wild strain, I will say, because you can get captive bred wild strains. So that's my interest. I'm not into the big skittle colored discus. That's why during one of the live streams, Skipper's live streams, when Dr. Anthony from the Amazon Research Center was showing off the discus tank that they set up in the aquarium, I asked him, I was like, what are the actual species, the scientific names of the wild strains? And I've been looking into them a lot and trying to find sources for them. Because that's my interest is the wild. That's the same thing with the angels. My interests are in the wild Altum angels. Um, yeah. Matt says hi, mom. Lotus store stopped stocking them. Interesting. Could be a UK thing. Yeah, I don't know if anybody else in the States can pitch in. If you have a local fish store, how are they doing with discus? Are local fish stores near you getting discus in? Freshwater, wild. The wilds are generally healthier shaped. Yep. His are Symphesidon, Tarzu, Beller's nemesis species. Yeah. Yep. I have them saved on my phone, on my phone, and I've been looking at them. Wild Angels, I worked with the Rio nannies and they were psycho. I recently came across, oh shoot, which ones, where were they from? Hang on. The Rio Atabapo. The Rio Atabapo Pterophyllum altum angelfish from Myrtle Beach discus. And let me show you guys. Like, look at that. There's a bit of a glare, but isn't that a gorgeous fish? It's an Altum Angel, but it's from the Rio Dapo, and so that species that variant has coloration in the fins, like a reddish like a reddish uh, reddish brown coloration to it, which was really interesting. Um, Stentker shut down, and they had a good sale ploy, so people would only buy from them. Interesting. Oh, chat's jumping. Sorry. Hot take. Not a fan of the wilds. I prefer the pretty colors and snakeskin turquoise types, even if they're inbred. All to heck. Get out of here, Zen. I'm just joking. No, they're pretty. They're beautiful without a doubt. I just like the wild types. As a scientist, it tickles my fancy more than the selective bred color variants. I used to keep S Tarzo and S Discus Heckles. Nice. Um, yeah, there are snakeskin wilds. Jenna says our local fish store gets in discus, but not very regularly, and that's really the one store in town that would have them. None of the big box stores in Baton Rouge seem to carry discus. Yeah, they don't. I mean, if you're talking about big box stores like Petco, PetSmart, they're never gonna get discus. Um, they don't get anything that's sensitive. Um, Now, my question is because I'm not sure. So, like, the UK has Maidenhead Aquatics, right? It is a chain aquarium store. I don't know if we have anything like that in the States, do we? That specializes in that's an aquarium store, but it's a chain aquarium store, right? Because I was thinking of it recently, and I was like, if I do a live stream where I'm gonna ask, is like anybody know of anything like that? But Maidenhead Aquatics is more of a franchise, so it varies a lot. Yeah, but it's still a chain. There's a Maidenhead Aquatics in a lot of places, right? So my question is does that exist here as well? I used to work for the Ascot branch. Nice, nice. Believe it or not, I've actually been because I'm trying to find another job. Um, I've been trying to see if any of the Petcos near me are hiring an aquatic specialist because the local fish store I've tried to apply to multiple times and didn't go anywhere. So I'm like, well, Petco's a little better than PetSmart. So because with Petco, correct me if I'm wrong, but at least from my understanding, at Petco, if you're an aquatic specialist, you're dealing with the aquatic section. Whereas in PetSmart, you're dealing with all the animals. And I can deal with the birds. I have no problem with the birds. But if you're going to ask me to deal with the small animals or the reptiles, think again. Um, but yeah, but they're not hiring. So I'm trying to find an another aquatic specific job. But it's a little hard. Sorry, what's going on here? Nathan says Petco has discus here. I was actually really impressed with the entire fish section at this location. The discus tank was fully planted and everything looked amazing. Impressed and shocked at sometimes. Yeah, you'll be surprised. Like some of the Petcos, like if you have people working the aquatic section who know what they're doing, you'd be surprised at how well they maintain their systems. And not only that, but the type of livestock they bring in, right? And because of the and believe it or not, like when I was younger, when I was first getting into the hobby, you would never find shrimp, freshwater shrimp at a Petco or a PetSmart, right? But since the surge in popularity in ornamental shrimps, you're starting to see, especially at Petco, they're starting to really get freshwater shrimp in and advertising about its care and all that and stuff like that, which was I was shocked when I first started seeing ornamental shrimp starting to come into the big box stores. Um, Rebecca says it is worth working for Petco or stores in general as it's good experience. Yeah, my thought process of wanting to work at a Petco is because of the amount of experience I have. I think it would benefit not just myself because I might be learning more. I'd be learning more. Um, but it's a basically it's a beneficial to those people that are coming to that Petco looking to start an aquarium or whatever the case might be, that I can at least impart some good knowledge. Um, Not enjoying the adventure of adventure aquarium. No, I'm still gonna work there. Um, Actually, they're gonna be opening up their volunteer program, like their registration for volunteer program soon, towards the end of this month. No, 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 not the end of this month. They've already opened it up, so I'm actually gonna be signing up to volunteer soon. I actually have to do that now. Um, but I mean, it's a part-time job, so and Atlantic Aquariums isn't making a lot of money either, if at all. So, the professor's got to pay bills. But I don't want to do like an office job or anything like that. I want to do something related to what I love and enjoy, which is a little bit of a struggle. Do you have pet supplies plus there? Ours are correctly looking to hire knowledgeable managers, and I think they're franchised. Yes, I do have a pet supplies plus, not too far away from here, and I have applied to them. Never heard from them. Um, Here's a funny story. So I went to my local pet supplies plus once because I was helping somebody. Somebody reached out to me because they had an aquarium but was giving them a lot of issues. And so I was kind of helping her, and she was an elderly woman. And so I was helping her. Basically, I told her, I was like, because the fish that you currently have are not good for this type of size tank. And I basically told her, I was like, why don't we do this? Let's basically reset the tank up because it was really bad. And so um, so I drained the tank. We took the fish out. She was able to rehome the fish. And, um, and I was kind of helping her in terms of deciding what other alternative fish to keep, community friendly, things like that. And we were talking about Pet Supplies Plus. That's the place that she frequents at anyway. And one day, I was just on my way back from mosque. I was because it comes in the way when I'm going to mosque or coming back. It's on the same highway, and so I stopped by there just to see what they had, so then I could forward a list to her. And lo and behold, she was there already talking to the guy that's in charge of maintaining all the animals there. Um, and so me and him start talking, and we were talking with her as well. And he was so impressed with my knowledge that when I told him that I have my own business, he actually asked for my business information so that if he needs to, he can actually forward it to other customers, which I thought was really kind of him. But I think with Pet Supplies Plus, from my understanding, if you're a pet care associate, like what PetSmart would call, you're not only maintaining the aquarium section, you're also maintaining the other animals. So my thing is I just want to maintain the aquarium stuff. I don't want to, I'm fine with birds, but I want to do, and my Pet Supplies Plus aquatic section could definitely use some work. Um, but yeah, it's why I just thought it was funny that you mentioned it. If you're willing to relocate to Wyoming, I think Dan is also hiring. Nah, if Dan was in New Jersey, I would have immediately just reached out to him. I was like, "Hey, man, I don't care what position it is, just let me work for you, please." Um, yeah, no, that's I can't relocate anywhere. It has to be in New Jersey. I mean, I am gonna, we're potentially moving to Pennsylvania, but I'm a Jersey guy through and through. So, um, there are other aquarium stores and even an aquarium wholesaler, fish wholesaler in northern New Jersey, but that's like an hour and something away from where I am because I'm in South Jersey, so that wouldn't work either. Um, but no, I digress. I would be wary going to stores to improve them. I used to believe I could do that. Quite a lot of staff can be real stubborn. Yeah, I have my way of dealing with stubborn people. Nah, but no, I totally get what you're saying, Rebecca. That's definitely true. Zen says, but is it a conflict of interest? Does a big box place like Petco or PetSmart allow you to work at another aquatic retailer at the same time? I mean, I'm not gonna be working there and be like, hey, you know what? You should go to Atlantic Aquariums. They've got better stuff in there. No, I'm not gonna do that. um, no, I know better than to do anything like that. But I can see that if they ended up finding out that, oh, I own an aquarium store myself, there might I'm sure they might think that it would be a conflict of interest. But that's a good point, Zen. That's definitely a good point. Rebecca says, I worked in a store which I thought I could improve, ended up doing everything myself and got anxiety from it, even working with reptiles. Dang. Yeah, that's not right. It's like, yeah, I want to improve the for the benefit of not only the animals but the store. It's benefiting the store. But it's like, if your fellow coworkers are not on board with you, that's you're gonna have problems at that point. At that point, it's not worth it. That job I wanted to quit 2 weeks in and had to stay 2 years. Oh my lord. Hey there, Aunt Lydia. Are you going to Reefapalooza in June? Yes, I am. Burlington County here. Oh, you're in the same county as I am. That's cool. We got a local here. But yes, to answer your question, I am going to Reefapalooza in June. It's most likely going to be the Sunday, because that's when I have off. Uh, Zen says, I think Usama just essentially said, forget about it. Exactly. Get out of here. It's so I don't know if I said this story before. I tend to repeat stories a lot, so I please tell me if I've already talked about this. But when we were visiting my mom's family in Virginia, and this is like border Virginia, North Carolina, and this was during Ramadan, so we were fasting, and then we broke our fast for the day, and um, at the time we loved McDonald's. We don't like McDonald's anymore, but I told my mom, I was like, I'm craving a fillet of fish, like I want McDonald's, and my mom was like, all right, go ahead, because it's like right down the street from where my nanny's house is, and um so me, my sister, my brother, and one of my cousins, we decided to go there, and we place our order, and we're just waiting for our order, where and me and my sister are talking, and the cashier was like, "Are you guys from Jersey?" And my sister looks at me, and then she's like, "Yeah, how'd you know?" And she's like, "Cause of your accent." And we're like, "What accent? We think you guys have accents, and you think we have accents." I just find it funny. Um, but yeah, my accent is like a combination of just generic American English, Jersey accent. There's a little bit of Jersey, New York in there, and then British, because I lived in Pakistan for like 4 years, and a lot of the accents there are more British. So, and I just like British stuff in general. Um, and because of the voice acting things, I tend to do a lot of British accent voices, and so there's a little bit of British in there, but it's not that distinct as the other accents are. Um, but yeah, I always find that story funny. At least in the UK, whoa. At least in the UK, quite a few people do start up their business while working at another, but there is an issue if you sell dry items they stock. Yeah, true. Because because I know a lot of people that work for aquarium stores or whatever. There are actually people that work at the as biologists at the aquarium that I work at, the public aquarium, and they have their own businesses out there where they grow corals, frag them, and sell them, and things like that, or work for other aquarium stores, things like that. So I guess it's just a matter of, like, if you're working for a particular company or a particular store, and as long as you're not pushing yourself, there's I don't see the harm in that, but I can understand why others might see the harm in it. Um, when I worked for particularly MA, I couldn't sell, or Maidenhead, I'm assuming. I couldn't sell any brand new items even if I didn't want them when they came with the tank. Ah, oh, interesting. Ethan says, wow, I was just thinking about how many jobs I've had and can only recall 8 different companies. I'd rather keep looking for the job I want to be at over taking whatever will hire me. Yeah. Lydia says Aquarium Center in Clementon has some beautiful discus in stock. Yes, they do. We were just talking about them. That's my local fish store. Um, I've worked for a few different things. I actually really enjoyed hospital lab work. Nice. But because of that earlier experience with reptiles, I ended up teaching exotic pet care once, including reptiles, but I quit as I don't know as much as I should about them. Fair enough. Fair enough. You know what's interesting? So, like, I talked about how, like, one of my dream jobs is to be a professor, right? And one of my goals is to introduce curricula courses related to husbandry, aquatic husbandry, things like that, because there are, believe it or not, there are certain colleges in the US that has degree programs for husbandry, and it's mainly for public aquaria, right? Um, and I remember, oh, this is a while ago, and I still have it in my notes. And sometimes I was going through my notes on my phone, and I came across that particular notes, and it was literally a list of classes that I would like to introduce if I become a professor. And I might regret this, but I'm gonna actually pull it up, and I'm actually gonna. And it's not only particular courses, but I even wrote a list of if the university I work for decided, for whatever reason, that we're going to start a bachelor's of science in aquarium husbandry or aquarium sciences and technology. What are the degree requirements, right? If you for those of you college grads, you know what I'm talking about. Um, and I even wrote that stuff down. So hang on, hopefully I can find it. Okay, here it is. So, oh my god, I'm gonna regret this, but you know, nothing wrong with a little bit of entertainment, right? So this is what I wrote, and I'm gonna read everything I wrote here. So faculty, as of currently, Dr. Osama Chaudhry, PhD. So the way I have them structured, so at my university that I work go to Stockton University. So we have what we call general courses, general study courses. So it's general natural uh, um, general natural sciences and mathematics, and then which would be GNM, right? So those aren't technically degree specific, but they are basically general studies related to natural sciences and mathematics. And then there are actual particular course um, courses for particular degrees. So, like for example, my degree is marine science with a concentration in marine biology, right? And so, any course that is related to that degree is a marine science course. So its abbreviation would be MARS, MARS, Marine Science is the S, basically. So GNM stands for General Natural Sciences and Mathematics course, and then MARS stands for Marine Science Specific course. So these are the courses that I wrote that I would like to, that either exist that I would like to teach, or that don't exist that I would like to introduce. So the first course is GNM, General Natural Sciences and Mathematics, Aquarium Sciences and Technology, GNM, Aquaculture with Lab, GNM, Animal Lab Husbandry and Usage in Research, GNM, Art and Science of Aquascaping, So that's all the general natural sciences and mathematics. Basically, anybody can take that course, these courses, to complete their general studies requirements for natural sciences and mathematics. Okay. Next is for marine science, the marine science program specifically. So Mars aquaculture with lab. So you can be a marine science student and take this course. This course exists already, by the way. I would just like to teach it. So you can, as a marine science student, you can take this course to complete one of your requirements for your marine science program, or you can take the GNM course if you're not a marine science person. Um, Mars coral reef ecology and conservation, Mars tropical marine biology, and then Mars introduction to ichthyology. So other than the aquarium specific stuff or the animal lab husbandry stuff and the coral reef ecology, all the other classes already exist. I would just like to teach them, at least in my university. But all the other courses are like courses that I'm like, if I become a professor, I'm going to be teaching this stuff. um, but that's just me daydreaming, really. But but yeah. So sorry, there was a lot of chatting going on. So let me catch up. I hear marine biology teaches husbandry. It doesn't here. I was talking to another PhD student who did her undergrad in the US. So yes, so like my marine science program, one of the courses you can take to meet your marine science requirement is there's an aquaculture class. Now, the way the professor teaches that course is he only focuses on the he does not focus on the biology aspect, because technically at that point a lot of the students who are there should already understand the biology of how fish breed and all that stuff. um so he doesn't focus on the biology. What he focuses on is the engineering, the technology, the economics, the ethics, um and nutrition, things like that. And then towards the end, you actually have a research paper slash presentation that you do. So basically, you pick a particular aquatic animal and you do a presentation on how you aquaculture them. And so I obviously chose corals. So I did a whole presentation on coral aquaculture, and maybe one day in a live stream I'll pull up. I still have the PowerPoint slide. I can pull it up and you guys can take a look at it. So that's but there's no lab work. There's no actual, even though we had, at the time, we had a laboratory for aquaculture. It was just one professor doing one class, so didn't really utilize it much. Um, but to go back to your question, yes. So because a lot of these universities that have marine science programs, marine biology in particular, do have what we call wet labs or aquaria labs. And so those are basically laboratories where you are keeping aquatic animals in tanks and whatnot, and for either research or just for classroom study or whatever have you. And usually you have the ability to actually learn how to take care of them. So you can volunteer or you can become a student worker and work in the lab to maintain these animals. And there's usually a lab supervisor there who will help you in learning how to take care of them. But there's no particular courses for it unless unless you're at a college that has a aquarium sciences or aquarium husbandry, aquarium and zoological studies program. Now, not only is it if you're working at the lab, but it's also if you're doing independent study where that requires you to keep something in a tank, you would learn husbandry practices that way. Um, but yeah, you'd be surprised. In a lot of the marine biology programs, if you're lucky enough, you can get to learn and even work with certain animals in aquaria. Nathan says, "My dream job, as I'm sure is y'all's, is to be in an aquarium store either as an employee or owner and mowing lawns. I find mowing relaxing. That is true. Mowing lawns can be landscaping in general, I think, can be very, very relaxing. You know, I mean, I'm kind of living the dream right now, Nathan. I own an aquarium store, but it's not easy. It's not easy. Hello there, Elfish Tanks. Welcome. Hope all is well. Oh, natural science is rare here. Cambridge does it. Then I think you do natural sciences with a specialism. Yes. So natural sciences is a broad term that encompasses um, everything that is not math based. That's why it's natural sciences and mathematics. So that includes biology, physics, chemistry, sustainability, geology, anything that revolves around the natural world is natural sciences. Mathematics is its own different thing, and so that's why it's called natural sciences and mathematics. In under that umbrella of natural sciences and mathematics, you have specializations, which is your general biology, your sustainability, geology, marine science, chemistry, natural physics, or excuse me, physics and life sciences, or regular physics, which is life science. Physics, life sciences is algebra based, and then regular physics is calculus based. Um, botany is another thing. Um, Sustainability includes renewable energy as well as farming, agriculture, but they don't have an actual agriculture program. But yeah, so it's like for example, my degree technically is marine science. Marine science has two concentrations: marine biology or oceanography. Um, that's kind of how it works. And the same thing with biology. Biology might have concentrations as well, I think. I'm not entirely sure. So you use courses instead of module? Yes. Yes, we do. So basically how my university works for my program, I wish I can show you my degree works, but not going to do that. Basically what we refer to degrees work is it's basically a big list of courses that you can take. Certain courses you have to take regardless, but then there are other portions of your degree works where you can choose maybe one or two out of a list of these courses that you want to take to meet that requirement. So like for example, for my program, marine science with a concentration in marine biology, I had to take introduction to marine biology and I had to take introduction to oceanography, even though I don't want to be an oceanographer, but it's a requirement. In terms of general sciences, biology, organic biology was a requirement. Organic chemistry was a requirement. Physics for life sciences was a requirement. Then you do your upper level writing courses, W1, W2. That could be any course that is a W requirement. Certain marine science program courses have a W requirement. Your quantitative requirement, that's your maths, calculus, algebra, whatever. And then your general studies courses, that could be anything. Your language arts, your performing arts, visual arts, social studies, I already said that, and then natural science mathematics courses. Things that basically the general studies are courses that have nothing to do with your program, but it is still required. With that, you have leeway as to what you want to take. As long as it's available during the semester, you can take it. And it goes by GPA, credits, all that stuff. Zen says, I feel like we're above my pay grade now. I'm just listening. um, I find it strangely interesting. I always love choosing my modules at undergrad. Nice. Lydia says huge demand for reef aquarium pond installation and maintenance in this area. The few people doing it can't keep up with the demand. Well, Lydia, I do aquarium installation and maintenance at Atlantic Aquarium. So I don't know if you're aware of it, but you're welcome to check Atlantic Aquariums out. It's online only. I don't have a physical store or anything like that, but I don't do anything regarding pond maintenance or installation. So I'm a Aquascape Inc. retailer, and if you go to the pond section of my website, there's a link that brings you to the Aquascape Inc.'s page to find an Aquascape contractor, a certified contractor who would be able to build your pond like an Aquascape pond. But I do aquarium installation and maintenance. When it comes to installation, basically, if you have a particular aquarium in mind, you purchase it, you bring it in, and then I set it up for you however way you like it. And then if you want me to maintain it for you, I can do that too. It's mostly only in the Burlington County area. But yeah, so that's my spiel about Atlantic Aquariums. Da, 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 da. Becca says, for teaching undergrads, I just get put on support with anything dead. So evolution, ecology. Yeah. Nice. I actually had to maintain, so in our marine science field station in the cabin is what we call it. We have a whole cabinet of preserved specimens of a lot of fish that are collected, some tropical, but some from the estuary. And when I was working at the lab, at the field station in the aquarium lab, part of my job was also to make sure that the preserved specimens were labeled properly. Um, uh, and basically do like a assessment and things like that. So I've dealt with dead things myself, but I prefer working with living things. And they weren't preserved in formaldehyde. They're mostly preserved in ethanol, which is why some specimens, like we have some preserved comb jellies, they don't do too well in ethanol or preserved in general. But we had them. Taxonomy is no pay these days. It's a hobby. Yeah. It's great for context, but most students are totally lost. Very name heavy as you have to know the big group downwards. Yep. And then Rebecca says, that's interesting. We have technicians look after fishes for us here. That's the thing, is like my lab supervisor when when I was working in the aquarium lab, she was basically like a technician, really. But her main the lab that she was in charge of was the wet lab, and so I worked under her. Um, she was very knowledgeable. She was definitely very knowledgeable, but not to the type of how I. But my way of maintaining the tanks we had versus hers were very different. Um, Absolutely different. Um, but but yeah, but it wasn't like her main thing. Her main thing was mainly the technological aspect of oceanography and things like that, and the biology as well. But husbandry wasn't really on her top thing. And one of my things, so what I was in charge of was maintaining the aquariums, the tanks there, feeding, preparing foods, and then recording water parameters, maintaining water parameters, and then I was in charge of overseeing collections. So if a class went out and brought back certain stuff, sometimes if I'm looking for a particular type of specimens to keep in the tanks, I'll let the professors or the field staff know that, hey, make sure you bring some jars with you. If you find such and such, bring it back. I want to put them in the lab. And but sometimes the class and the professors will bring in something. They're like, hey, you think we can keep this in here? And sometimes, most cases, it's yes, we definitely can. We have room for it. In other cases, it's like, absolutely not. I do not have a tank available. This thing will eat everything in the tank, and we have to release it back out. Once a specimen is collected from the wild and is brought in the lab, it cannot be released back out, due to cross contamination and things like that. We have a governing body in the university that oversees laboratories and projects that deal with vertebrate animals. And so I had to abide by that. I had to do training and certifications and all that fun stuff. Um, but yeah, that's why if I become a professor, I want to start a course that talks about lab husbandry and usage in research, because I think it's very important, especially if you're going in the biology field. Um, you might be dealing with live animals, and you need to kind of learn, and your biology program does not teach you how to take care of animals in a laboratory setting. The requirements, the ethics, the certifications, and all that fun stuff. So I think it's very important to have a class dedicated to that. That is optional. You can take it if you want. You don't have to take it. Um, that's why it was on that list. So math is a requirement. So even though I despise math, it is a requirement. I had to take calculus. They've kind of changed it now a little bit, but like I had to take calculus, I had to take algebra. Um, but mathematics is its own separate department. It has its own separate degrees. It has its own separate faculty. The biology department has its own separate faculty. The geology department has its own separate faculty. Marine science has its own separate faculty. Chemistry has its own separate faculty. Sustainability has its own separate faculty. Things like that. But they're all intertwined in a way. So if you're a professor of math, you'll have students in your class that are getting a degree in mathematics, like applied maths or whatever, but you'll also have somebody from the marine science program there with you as well, or from the sustainability, or um from the life sciences, like the if you're looking to be a nurse or whatever, um because it's part of your requirement, so you still have to take the math class, but it's its own separate thing, really, if that's what you're talking about. We could only do two general topics a year. I did biogeography, freshwater ecosystems, marine vertebrates, etc. Yeah, no, in my university at least, I could dedicate an entire semester to just general studies. So it could be social studies, it could be natural sciences and maths, it could be visual or performing arts or whatever. Um, Certain universities, if so, like for example, if you're a marine science student, certain universities, you won't be able to start taking courses relative to your major until your junior or senior year. The reason I chose the university I chose is because, right, if you're a transfer student or a freshman, right at your freshman year, you're already taking intro to marine biology, or intro to marine biology, or intro to oceanography, or whatever the case might be. So you're already taking your major required courses at the beginning versus towards your junior senior year. So in certain programs, you don't even get to go on a boat until your junior year to do field work or field labs. But in my university, you get to do that. And so that was one of the reasons why I decided to go to that university. And also at the time, it had a relatively small program. So the classes were small and all that. But thankfully, Stockton University's marine science program is slowly growing. Um, The only issues I have is a lot they're really focusing on the oceanography aspect of it and not really investing in the biology aspect of it. Like I said, we've lost our wet lab. I don't know if I mentioned that, but I heard from people from my aquarium lab that are from my aquarium club at the university, that they're doing renovations at the field station, and our wet lab is no more. They're trying to find a new location to move all the tanks and everything, and we don't think we're going to be able to go back there. Um, which is sad, but it's, what can you do? Thank you, Zen, for sharing the link. I appreciate it. Hey there, Legacy. Hope you're doing well. Excuse me. Who despises math? What? That's my favorite. Zen, go. Go away. I'm just joking. There's always a correct answer. I like the certainty of it. Yeah. I'll tolerate it. When I was younger, I struggled with math. I despised math. But now I can tolerate it. Um, but yeah. I took calculus for fun in high school. I agree, Zen. How can you hate math? Oh my god. I hate calculus. I think I got the word. I barely made it out of calculus. Um, but but yeah. See, the problem isn't the actual material. It's I have test anxiety, and it's just like I don't know. It's like I'll prepare as much as I can, and then I have to do a test or whatever. I just bleh. But I've always struggled with math. Science, believe it or not, I wasn't a fan of science until like my middle school. Until middle school, end of elementary, middle school is when I started getting into science. When we were doing like some lab experiments, and it started really getting interesting. And so I was like, "Oh, science is fun." But like I can't even tell you why I hated science, but I just didn't like science. Math, I could live without math. But yeah, now I love science. Biology is my top. I enjoy biology, specifically marine biology. Um, Chemistry, I'm okay with, unless there's math involved. Physics, there's math involved, so no, thank you. Um, but yeah. So yeah, so it's almost an hour and a half. So, any other questions or comments or anything along the lines of that before we call it a day? In case, because I know a lot of you came in a little later, which is totally fine. Thank you for stopping by. Um, I'm getting really close to 200, which is really exciting and really anxiety driven, because there's now potentially 200 people at least watching my videos and whatnot. And I haven't been churning out videos, which I need to start doing. Um, so during once I reach about 200 subscribers, we'll do a special live stream, and we'll do a giveaway. Um, not pushing people to subscribe or whatever. If whenever we get to that point, we'll get it to it. Um, so yeah, so look forward to that. Um, you're at 189. What? I mean, I do know that a few new people hopped on the live stream. Oh wow. So 10 more subscribers left. Okay. That's interesting. Thank you, Matt, for the update. So yeah, I'm 10 subscribers away from, oh my god, I'm about 10, 11 subscribers away from 200. That's very interesting. So it might happen soon. I don't know. But thank you very much, guys, for the support. I greatly appreciate it. Um, Stay tuned for cool stuff. Um, Stay tuned for an announcement through FishFam Link. I look forward to working with Jenna and everybody on FishFam Link. Something exciting is coming in terms of Atlantic aquariums. You might already guess what it is, but I'm pretty excited about it. And then if you're able to come on May 13 to the Jersey Shore Aquarium Society meeting, feel free to come on Lydia. If you're still here, I'm going to be at the Jersey Shore Aquarium Society meeting on May 13th. If you'd like to come, you're more than welcome to come. I would love to meet you and say hi. Since you're a local. Um, and in June 22nd to the 23rd, Reefapalooza, New York, technically Secaucus, New Jersey. If you guys are able to come down, especially on a Sunday, we might run into each other. So that would be cool. But with that being said, everybody, unless anybody has any last minute questions regarding aquarium husbandry or whatever, I think we've had a really cool discussion. Sorry if the university talk was boring for some of you. um, but yeah, thank you everybody for coming to the live stream. I greatly appreciate it. If you're watching the replay, hi replay crew. Sorry you missed it. But make sure you hit that like button if you haven't already. Make sure you hit the notification bell so you don't miss another video. If you're watching the replay, please hit the subscribe button if you haven't already. Um, excuse me. And with that being said, take care. Take care of your fish. Do your water changes. And I will see you next time. Take care.